Kid Chocolate, the Cuban bonbon. Born January 6, 1910, Havana, Cuba. He died August 8, 1988. He was 78 years of age at the time of his death, and he would reside in Havana, Cuba. Now, Kid Chocolate stood 5 foot 6 inches. He weighed 126 to 130 pounds. He had a 65-inch reach. He would end his boxing career with 152 total bouts, scoring 136 wins, 51 knockouts, 10 losses, and he was stopped twice. He would have over 100 amateur fights with 86 knockouts in Havana, Cuba. Now, Kid Chocolate sparred with the likes of Benny Leonard, as well as Jack Johnson. He was in a ring with Chick Shuggs and Phil O'Dowd, Johnny Vodka, and Benny Bass, Dominic Patrone, and Davey Abad, Lou Feldman, and Pete Nebo, Johnny Farr. The only fighters that he would lose to would be Tony Canzoneri up until that point. Tony Canzoneri I would have ranked number 9, along with Johnny Dundee and Benny Leonard. Greatest all-time fighter ranking list. The Kid Chocolate would also be in a ring with Johnny Farr, Petey Hayes, Buster Brown, and Simon Chavez, Al Reed and Phil Baker, Al Singer and Bushy Graham, Tommy Paul, who incidentally would be in a ring with Holman Williams, Eddie Shea, Ignacio Fernandez. Kid Chocolate would lose his featherweight championship crown to Battling Battalino, 15-round decision, December 12, 1930. He would defeat junior lightweight champion Benny Bass from Philadelphia. It was a two-fisted banger. He would end the contest in 7 rounds, scheduled for 15. Benny Bass was known as the Fish. He was some fighter. Kid Chocolate would defeat him and become a brand new champion before a crowd of 4,000 spectators. Kid Chocolate would lose the junior lightweight championship crown in a match to Frankie Click on December 25th, 1933. The Kid was KO'd in 7 rounds. Ironically, it would be the same amount of rounds that he would knock out Benny Bass to win the title. 1994, he became the International Boxing Hall of Fame, along with the same man he would take the title from, Benny Bass, and lose to, Tony Canzoneri. Very interesting fighter was Kid Chocolate. He was known as the Cuban bonbon. What a fighter he was. On behalf of my brother Curtis Anderson and myself, we must add to the list Kid Chocolate. What a fighter. What a humanitarian. And by the way, when you watch Ray Robinson, when you watch Kid Gavilan, when you watch Johnny Bratton, when you watch Henry Armstrong and Joe Louis, when you watch all these men who would have their hair slicked back, wear a 3-piece suit, fedora hat, and a long chain connected to a pocket watch, wing-tipped shoes, handkerchief with 2 different colors, made of silk. You're watching Kid Chocolate, because that's who they all admired. Kid Chocolate, one of the greatest of all times. He has been added 100 greatest black fighters of the 150 greatest black fighters of all times. 100 years. Oh, what a fighter was Kid Chocolate. Sugar Ray Robinson, better known as Walker Smith. Born May 3rd, 1921, Alley, Georgia. He would relocate to Detroit, Michigan where he would be introduced to the Brown Bomber Joe Louis. Mother would pack up everything and move him to Harlem, New York. He would die April 12, 1989. Ray Robinson was a welterweight and middleweight as a professional. He stood 5 foot 11 inches, had a 72.5-inch reach. Had a total bout career of 202 fights, 173 wins, 108 knockouts, 19 losses. Fought as a bantamweight, 1938. Won a North American Metropolitan Bantamweight Championship belt. Fought in the 1939 Golden Gloves as a featherweight champion. 1940 Golden Gloves as a lightweight champion. He was 85 and with 69 knockouts. 40 in the very first round. Ray Robinson was something else, I'll tell you. Fought 1941. Sammy Yangot, Marty Servo. Non-title fights. Be in the ring with Robert Villamain for the vacant Pennsylvania Middleweight Championship belt. He would take on Fritzy Zivik twice. Jake LaMotta 6 times. Denny Moyer, Phil Moyer. Wolfie Greaves. Would take on Carmen Vasilio twice and Gene Former 3 times. Paul Pender twice and Terry Downs once. Izzy Genazzo and Randy Turpin 2 times. Henny Armstrong once. Tommy Bell twice. Rob Tiger Jones. George Sugar Costner twice. Be in the ring with Artie Levine and California Jackie Wilson. Let me tell you something about Ray Robinson. His former wife, Edna Mae. Her name was Edna Mae Holly. She was a former Cotton Clubs dancer. And Ray Robinson took his entire family and entourage, 1951, to England. He was on a war tour. And he would purchase $24,000 worth of wardrobes, contained of mink coats and Russian link coats for his wife. Broad-tail coats. White minks. Ray Robinson was something else, man. He would even have a silver blue mink stove, a blue foxtail. Ray Robinson's wife was living it up, I'll tell you. But he himself owned 17 suits, 10 sports jackets, 5 suede fronts, and 3 dress shoes. Ray purchased a 17-foot pink flamingo Cadillac. Bought his mother a birthday chrome cake. Yes, he did. Along with a beautiful Buick Cadillac convertible. Became the Harlem's landlord owner. He would have basically owned the entire 124th Street. Ray Robinson was the Floyd Mayweather of his time. Another thing about Ray Robinson that you should know. In 1950 and 1951, Ray went on this European tour, lost the middleweight championship contender, Randy Turpin. 15-round disappointment. Rented out a hotel room for him and his wife, manager George Gangford, male secretary, name was June Clark. He once played a trombone for Louis Armstrong. Ray's trainers were Harry Wiley Sr., Soldier Jones, and Pee Wee Beale. But also hired Honey Brewer. They shared corner duties on that tour. Ray Robinson would also hire a masseuse. He would hire a midget. He had a young man that would stand on the right side of him every time he walked. That young man's job, with a towel in hand, to wipe off the smudge of Ray Robinson's wingtip shoes. Anytime a puddle of water was ran into by a tire of a car. Ray was something else, man. He even bought a golf pro. His name was Joe Roach. And Harry Johnstone was the chaperone. He had a midget by the name of Jimmy Carabone. Man, I'll tell you, Ray Robinson was something else. He had a 3-bedroom apartment worth $100,000. Cleaning and dryer shop worth $45,000. Ray bought a lingerie shop for his wife, which is located across the street. That was $15,000. Oh, he spent money like water. But I gotta tell you, Ray Robinson, one of the greatest fighters of all times. He can hook off the jab, throw a 7-punch combination within a blink of an eye. I've never met a fighter like Ray Robinson. My dad met him personally, as my grandfather did as well. All the stories that I heard about Ray Robinson. As much as he is pound for pound rated by most observers, he is still very underrated. He could punch like a mule kick. I spoke to Gene Foreman. I spoke to Carmen Basilio. I spoke to many fighters who fought Ray. They told me personally he was perhaps one of the hardest punchers they've ever faced. You see, Ray Robinson had trained at the Salem Crescent Club. And then he was relocated to Grubb's Gym because he was knocking out everyone in Salem Crescent Club. When you want to study a fighter, really exert moves, study Ray Robinson. Hell of a puncher. One of the greatest fighters pound for pound. Of course, Ray Robinson will be on this list. What, are you kidding me? Shout out to Ray Robinson. Shout out to Kurt Anderson. Ray Robinson, number 1 favorite fighter of Kurt Anderson. Salute. Heavyweights Bob Baker must be added to this list as well. He was ranked number 2, 1956. Right behind Hurricane Jackson. Bob Baker was a vicious 2-punch fighter. He could bang. And he is added to this list as well. I must also add Freddie Dawson to this list as well. He was a phenomenal lightweight welterweight. He could punch and he can box. Very underrated fighter was Fred Dawson. He must be added to this list. I'm also going to include the Black Murderers Row, Burt Littell, to this list as well. Burt Littell was ranked number 8 in 1944 as a middleweight. He used to train in Stillman's gym. Phenomenal fighter he was. Very underrated. Burt Littell. He will be added to this list as well. 100 years of the greatest 150 black fighters of all times. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I'm Scrapbook Boxing. On behalf of my brother Curtis Anderson, we continue the list of 150 of the greatest black fighters within a 100-year span. Continue to watch our list of the great black fighters.